welcome to the Work for Change podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Jean.
And I'm your other host, John.
And since I'm on the episode, I'm your other host, Sam.
Thanks for clarifying, because you're on the episode.
If I'm not on, then I'm just the assistant. So.
You're just the
manager.
Yeah, you're the manager.
You are our man. You manage us.
Yes, I try.
You reel us in, which is you were not on last week's episode, so there was no reeling in whatsoever.
Last week's episode.
If you didn't listen, pause this episode and just go listen to last week's episode.
Or don't.
You don't even need to listen to this episode. Just go back and you'll feel like this is just unscripted, raw dog talking.
Oh my God. Welcome to episode 86 of the Work for Change podcast, you guys. I didn't say that, and I feel weird not saying it.
Yeah, nice way to 86 the conversation.
This is what I have to deal with, you guys.
That's what you have. You married into it. I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just came in and stole my name. So came into our family, stole my name.
My name is better. Your name is the French version.
Yeah. It's fancy.
Fun fact is we did 23andMe, Jean and I. And I was like, if you're not like a large percentage French, then like you need to like go by Jean.
Change your name or go by Jean.
But you were like, what, 46%?
No, I think it was like 33.
33?
Yeah.
A third.
Yeah.
A third of me.
Which makes
That's
sense.
good.
Yeah.
With the facial hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. I only have a third of facial hair. Is that what you're saying? I don't know. French people are hairy, and I got that.
Yeah. We know.
I got that gene for sure. Hey, Sam.
Yes.
Put your phone on airplane mode.
It is.
That's just an old text message?
Jean just yelled at me because he said my phone wasn't on airplane mode last time we recorded, and it made me sad.
It's on airplane mode.
Okay.
So, like, get off my dad.
See what I mean? This is
I'm
what I
dad.
deal with. He's a dictator.
Yeah.
I have to be the dad.
You guys should.
Last week,
you guys should hear right before and after these podcasts. It's not good. Jean is just yelling. He gets
Throwing
angry.
tables.
He throws things. He rips
really
his
shirt off.
Yeah, he rips his shirt off and runs around the office and like
Screams
It's
at
terrible.
him.
Wait until we're done with this podcast. I have some strongly worded phrases for both of you after this podcast.
What? Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so it's July now.
Mid-July.
I know, it's mid-July.
Mid-July.
I still think it's March.
We are over. I know, that's because when our life stopped.
Yeah.
We are over halfway through with this year. Okay?
Are we?
Yes. July 1st.
Oh, it's 7. Yeah.
Yeah. July 1st is the midway point for the year, or June 30th or 31st or whatever. Whatever it technically is. We are around the halfway point of the year. And would you guys say that your year turned out the way you thought it would be in the beginning of the year?
No.
No.
Not even a little bit.
I remember New Year's Eve,
Let's
though.
just look back on this year.
Yeah.
2020, which I like not,
2020 vision, baby.
Not a lot of things, come to my brain when I think about 2020. Only, it's like, what was life like pre-quarantine? You know what I mean?
I don't
what was
know.
like standard things looking like? What did it feel like? I can tell you that I've talked about it multiple times on the podcast, but I was like getting excited because I was launching. I just became a CrossFit level 1 coach or trainer, and and that was at the end of February. So January, you go to Texas.
Yeah.
And I decide that I want to become a trainer.
Yeah, you
level
signed
1.
up when we were in Texas.
I signed up in Texas. February, I do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the beginning of March, I find out that I passed.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started doing some shadowing, and then our gym shut down.
Yeah.
And then I also wanted to start, like, with my level 1, I wanted to start, like, this, like, Bible study kind of thing at the gym. Not only for dark side people, but kind of, like, similar to what, like, Faith RX does, but just not Faith RX,
like your own thing.
Do my own thing, yeah. Where we do like a Bible study, we do like some fitness, some workouts, stuff like that. And so that was like already greenlit, and we were getting going. We had our first. I'm like looking at the board that I have not erased since everything went down.
Yeah.
We had a whole thing going down. I had a schedule. We had a date. I had the workout programmed and all that. And so it's like I was excited to kind of start this. Like, I'm a big advocate of health being more than just physical, but it's mental and it's spiritual. And so I was like ready to like get something going for that. And then everything shut down for me. And so I just, what what did you guys have on the horizon? What were you planning? What were you scheming pre-quarantine back in the day?
For me, I was obviously like starting to want to train for the triathlon, and that was kind of like taking up a lot of my like mental space and like capacity and stuff. And I mean, it's hard to even remember, because I remember it was not long before I was in Miami for Wadapalooza, and I remember like that was a lot of fun, and I was like planning on going to the West Coast Classic, which is here in San Diego, which was supposed to be here in San Diego, and just kind of like thinking about like different events that I was going to go to. And then I was like, oh, I want to train for a triathlon, and so I was doing like tons of research on that. I even bought some like triathlon stuff, like I got some triathlon shorts, and then like literally as I was like researching and like looking at bikes and stuff, everything closed down. And so I remember at first I was like still trying to be optimistic, and I was like, I'll train for the triathlon during quarantine, and I kind of did as far as like going on runs and stuff. But I wasn't going to look at really expensive bikes without being able to like actually go and see them and like ride them in person. And so I kind of ended up just shelving that idea until quarantine kind of ended, or social distancing, whatever you want to call it. And so that's what I did. But I just remember thinking like when I was at Wadapalooza, and I think that was like mid to late February. I think it was like mid-February. Thinking I remember I was doing like a Q&A on my Instagram, and I was traveling, and someone said like, aren't you afraid to travel because of the coronavirus? And I was just like an idiot, and I was like, I'm not afraid of the coronavirus, like, being a stupid American, just being like, yeah, it's stupid, like, we'll be fine. We're fine, but it's like I didn't realize how much it was going to absolutely change our lives. And so it's just funny looking back at that day when I was traveling. And that travel experience was horrible. I remember I ended up having to sleep at the airport.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that? I got stuck in an airport. I had to sleep at the airport, and I slept on the ground. And then someone asked me, like, aren't you like worried about sleeping on the ground in an airport? And I was like, no. I think even still now, I probably wouldn't be too like bothered by it, because I literally had no other option. It was like either do that or stand up all night. So I was like, well, this is all I can do. But yeah, so that's where my headspace was when we like in the beginning of 2020, and it's crazy that it's been so long. Because it feels like everything kind of just stopped, and now it's the cogs are starting to move again.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it feels like.
I mean, I guess it depends on what state you're in.
Yeah, that's true.
Like for California, the cogs started moving, and then we immediately got shut down again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's worse.
Well, we went so when you signed up to do your CrossFit Level 1, we were in Texas at the end of January. We were visiting my brother in Austin. And when I got back, we were gone for like a week or something. And when I got back to work, they were like mentioning like coronavirus, and I like didn't know. I didn't hear anything on the news yet about it. And I was like, I'm going to ask what this is. And I was like, I'm not. It's going to be over in like a week. Like, it's so hard to keep up with everything. And then I'm like, oh, wait.
Yeah.
Like, no one knew like what was going to happen. Mm-hmm. But I think I was just really excited for 2020 because 2019 was wedding planning. Like, that was everything last year.
Whose wedding were you planning?
Ours.
Gross.
Gross. I was trying to make it like a joke, like I forgot, and then she made it all cute.
Cute. Anyway, but literally, remember last year you got so over wedding planning?
Yeah, I do remember.
Like he literally yells at me.
I remember John David
being
hearing us talking about wedding planning.
That was fun.
Yeah.
I would make them argue. I would like pit them against each other. Well, I wouldn't make them, but I would egg them on. Like I would choose a side, and they're like, okay, I'm gonna make the other person mad. Sometimes I would make Sam mad. Sometimes I would make John mad. Normally it was John though, because I don't want Sam to be mad at me. But John gets mad at me all the time, so it's pretty normal.
But
accurate.
Yeah. So last year was just all wedding planning. So I was like, this year I'm gonna like focus on like everything that's in my life and just like be better at all these areas. And then when quarantine happened, I'm like, oh, like, what do we do now?
Mm-hmm.
But
okay, so great. All of us, we had goals, we had ideas of what was going to happen. How does that change, like moving forward into the next half of 2020? Knowing, it's almost like, I mean, I'm not being serious but it's almost like we have some like there are people who live in very controlling countries and they don't get to decide what they get to do because it's up to their dictator or their a totalitarian government or whatever. So never before have I been like, oh, I want to do this, but hopefully my government allows me to. Hopefully my government decides for me if I'm free to do this or not. That has never been something that I've thought about in the future.
This place is a prison.
But like now it's like they're small things and they're things like it's for the health of individuals. Like I don't think there's I personally don't believe there's some elaborate plan to eventually take away all of our freedoms. Like there are people out there who do believe that. It's meant for the health and the well-being of the majority, and so it's like little sacrifices that you make, but nonetheless it still does limit our ability to look ahead and to plan and to think. So like with that, what do you think the second half of the year is going to look like for you guys in regards to doing what you can, even if the situations aren't necessarily ideal?
So, just so you guys know, Sam was raising her hand. She's literally raising her hand.
Just so you know, my last question, Sam and John David both looked at each other and nodded for each other one to go.
I love how we don't have film this anymore. Okay, so I really wanted to be more strict with my nutrition, just like dial it in. And then the grocery stores became like an apocalypse happened. And so
that was the worst part at the start, man. That was horrible.
I literally got so much anxiety going to the grocery store, but now I'm an Instacarter and I love it so much.
Explain Instacart.
Instacart is like the app where you choose what grocery store and they have someone shop and deliver for you. If you want $10 off, I'll give you $10. Anyway, and so they just had the groceries delivered to your door, and I just love it so much.
How many things have they gone wrong?
Well, it's cool because on the app, I'll be like, I want these oats.
Well, it depends on it. Like Vaughn's got a lot of stuff wrong.
That was Vaughn's delivery.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Vaughn's delivery, through the company, got a lot of things wrong.
But Instacart, because it's a real person, I don't know how delivery do it.
Vaughn's is a robot.
What do they have robots that are going through the store? Let me get this can of soup.
Instacart, so they have a shopper who messages you through the app. Like they're out of the Sargento cheese.
Messaging you. How are you doing?
Yeah. But it's like,
are you sick? I said that you got some soup. Are you doing okay?
But we're out of the Sargento mild cheddar. Is there an opposite? Is there a other one you would want, or just refund the purchase?
You don't even do it, so let me tell it.
Okay.
So, I do the grocery shopping, and then quit throwing things. Anyway,
I can't verbally abuse you guys, so I have to.
Oh, this is going off the rails
Or they'll
again.
they'll give the option, be like, oh, I want these English muffins, and they'll be like, well, these ones are out of stock. Do you want this one? You can approve it, or choose other ones, or get a refund.
Oh, that sounds like a lot of work.
Oh, it's so much fun. I look forward to it every week.
Well, yeah, you
and
love
I
planning,
grocery shopping.
and the planning is literally your favorite thing on
literally
the
my
planet.
favorite thing.
So, okay, but the question
planet.
So the question So the question was, what was it? What was the question, John? What are you doing moving forward?
Yeah,
right?
what are your mid-year goals?
So is your mid-year goal to use Instacart more or something?
Yeah.
Are you going to try to become an Instacart shopper?
A big thing is
I
am very against the victim mentality. I don't believe it.
Well, it was my turn.
Hold on.
Oh God!
I don't believe.
Here we go. The diatribe.
No, I don't believe. No matter what situation you find yourself in life or anything, how you will not succeed is by having the victim mentality. So you can have two people who came from the same family, same, abusive, whatever. And if one person goes like, oh my gosh, woe is me, life will always be like this. Another person goes like, what are steps that I can take, even though it may not be super ideal to get out of it, that you will have one person who gets out and one person who stays in. And so I think a victim mentality is, well, we'll just have to, I can't do anything until this quarantine is over, or this social distancing, or these measures, or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's like, that is just not the case. So let's start looking at what are the things we can do, even within a somewhat non-ideal situation of not being able to know what are, using this word lightly, but our freedoms, what are things we can do, even in the midst of that?
Yeah. So what I learned was I was really full of anxiety from the grocery store. Now I found Instacart, the love of my life. Anyway, so I was like, oh my gosh, like they're out of this, and I felt like really overwhelmed that I wasn't able to buy things that we use and stuff, or like, just generic things, and I was really overwhelmed. And then I knew the gym was closing, like I knew it'd be closing any day, and I was like, okay, we got to start working out from home. And then the longer we were stuck at home with the gym closed, it's like the lack of motivation, Jean always talks about it.
I can't relate. I was motivated the entire time.
Okay.
I don't like working out by myself, and so every time he didn't want to work out, I'm like, you have to. But like, I would be working out every day.
That worked for like 2 months, and
Yeah, it
then
worked
the
for 2
third month
months.
did not work.
And I would still work out, but I wasn't pushing it as much as I usually do. And the fact that we weren't at the gym for 3 months, like that's so crazy. That's like the longest I have not gone to the gym since I started working out, And so now, like coming back, I'm just so thankful, but I'm trying not to like be like, oh, we're back for good, just in case anything happens.
Yeah.
But the fact that like working out feels so good, I've been able to push it so hard, harder than I have. I'm like, okay, if anything happens, because like the second wind of the year, if anything happens, I want to focus on working out. We were working out in the afternoon at home. We were back to working out in the morning at the gym. I want to get it done first thing if we're locked down again. I don't want to have the victim mindset when it comes to nutrition either, even if the grocery store has to give me alternative things that I want. So I just want to know, like, be prepared, but also, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
That's what I want to do.
For me, I don't know. Like, quarantine was difficult, but I was pretty motivated as far as like working out. Like, it really wasn't too much of an issue for me. I think like the way that I was able to get through it was I was posting a lot of my workouts. And so like having that community and people like enjoying the workouts was helpful for me, which made me motivated to actually work out, because at the first like half we had like just dumbbells at home. Like we pretty much had nothing. So I was just doing a bunch of stuff, and we didn't have the outside area at all. So I was just doing stuff in the living room and sweating everywhere. And then eventually we were able to, get the mats outside and get a couple things so we could do workouts outside and get a pull-up bar. And so I was able to be creative in that aspect. And then I was like, okay, well, I can't go to 24-hour fitness because that's closed down. So I'll just do more running. And so I was like, I was really doing very well. And then I ended up hurting myself, which sucked, doing freaking devil's presses. And that was tough. Like it was rough when I injured myself. Like that was definitely not in the plan. And I was pretty worried about what that was going to mean in the future, in quarantine, especially. Like it was already hard enough to work out, right? As far as motivation wise for a lot of people. And then on top of that, now I'm dealing with this, like when I hurt my back, it was bad. Like I couldn't really walk for a couple days. And so I was super nervous as to like, I'm like injured forever. I was like, that's what I was thinking in my head because I catastrophize everything. And so it was tough, and eventually I was able to work through that, and that actually ended up being a blessing in disguise as well because I was able to share the recovery, and we had CJ on, the guy that was helping me, the physical therapist that was helping me, and we were able to share information with other people and help them like kind of get through their different injuries and stuff like that. So that ended up being like a blessing. But then it was like, okay, now where I am is I'm just doing what I can as far as like training for the triathlon. And, I have the bike and I'm able to ride it. And so that's been nice. But it's been, I am fully aware that I've been very lucky as far as how much I've been affected by the quarantine. Because my job requires me to work by myself, pretty much. Like, I don't need anyone else to make videos, right? And so I really haven't been too affected. Like, the main thing was I was just at home. I couldn't go anywhere. Because, like, I probably could have came here to the office and worked if I wanted to, but I was trying to be respectful of the rules and, like, don't leave your house unless you have to in California for a while. That's kind of how it was. And so I was like, well, I don't need to go to the gym to film these videos. I can do it at home. And I did, and it worked out fine. And the channel actually did really well over quarantine. So I was very, very blessed in that aspect. And so now I'm just trying, like, as far as like goals for the future, obviously I want to do a triathlon. I don't think I'm going to do one this year because I want to actually train correctly for it and not pull a marathon from last year because that was horrible. I mean, it was great, but I want to do well, right? And so I want to actually train for that. And so I have someone that I'm planning on working with coming up in a few months, but I'm just still getting comfortable on the bike and stuff. So I think that that's a good plan, you know, get comfortable on the bike before I start actually doing workouts on the bike, you know. As far as other things is I would love to, I've been doing a lot of live stream stuff. So yesterday I was here at the gym for like 12 hours figuring out a bunch of, I'm not good with technical stuff. That's Jean, right? And I wish he would have been here yesterday, but apparently he has a life. And so I was legitimately at the gym for 12 hours, like so I've done a couple live streams and they've been okay, but the quality hasn't been the best. So then I was like, okay, I need to hardwire into our internet, right? And so I had to talk to the owners of the gym and they said it's totally fine, but our office is a very good amount away from the router. So I was like, okay, I'm going to have to I got a 100-foot Ethernet cable and I routed it through the ceiling here in the gym. And one of the owners actually helped me, which was really cool of her. But that took hours. And then being able to because I'm not good with technology, so figuring out how it all worked together, that took a long time. And then like yesterday, my plan was to come to the gym and do a workout. Right, and then figure everything out. But that just didn't happen because the owner was like, "Oh, I'll help you right now." And I was like, "Okay, of course. If you're gonna help me, I would love to help." And so then I ended up doing a workout like at 3, and I hadn't eaten anything all day, and I was just like, "This is not fun." But I told myself that I wanted to work out, and so you just have to do it, right? Sometimes that's what I do. Is like I don't want to do this, but you have to. So I did that. And then I ended up, I actually went to Panera Bread because I was starving. But then I came back and I was like, okay, I wanted to film a video too. So I filmed the video, edited the video, and then I was like, okay, I'll do a live stream. And then the live stream stuff wasn't working correctly. So I spent another hour trying to figure it out again. And then I ended up finally being able to do the live stream, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to do it for 15 minutes just to make sure everything's working correctly. And then I get stuck for an hour. Not stuck. It was actually a lot of fun. Like, I'm really enjoying doing the live stream, but I ended up live streaming for an hour. So I was, like, here all day yesterday. And, like, for me, I love that, though. You know, like, feeling like I'm doing things that are, progressing me forward. It was really fun. Like, I'll complain about, I was here for such a long time, but I would much rather have that than just be sitting at home. Like, you guys know how I get when I'm at home too long. I get very sad. But yeah, so like that's kind of as far as like moving forward, I would love to like pursue the triathlon, live streaming, and then just content in general. That's kind of my goals moving forward, I guess. What about you, bro?
Yeah, I've just been, I think like, well, I mean, I have things that I am working on, and they're definitely like tangible things. But I think the thing that I'm working on the most is my mindset. And so, like, what's my mindset towards all this stuff? And how am I, you know, a situation comes and, you know, we are not our actions, but more we are our reactions, right? So when a situation comes up, it's not how do we treat everyone and how do we show everyone who we are when everything is good. But what happens when something bad happens and what's your reaction to it? And that shows a lot about who our character is and who we are. And so like really trying to focus on, I can do all these actions, I can set all these plans up, and I can move forward in life that way. But as soon as something comes and like knocks me down, like how am I going to react? Am I going to give up? Am I going to stay on the ground for the 10 count? Or am I going to like try to rise above it? And so I feel like that's been a big focus of my energy is like, how do I react to situations? And
why?
Because it's a good thing in life to do.
But like, did something happen that you're like, I don't like how I reacted to that, and so I want to work on this?
I think that I definitely get into mindsets that like aren't good.
Jeez.
I said that out loud.
I gotta go.
Shoot, that
Just
was savage.
react
I was
super
just genuinely
poorly.
curious. So I was just trying to figure out what's going on in his head, and she said,
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, I just like, I definitely I can get negative, and it's not like negative towards people. I feel like I've always been pretty cordial. Like, even if I'm like, you know, how do you treat your waiters? How you treat, you know what I mean? Like that kind of idea.
I would say to outsiders, yes. To like me and Sam, sometimes it'll be rude.
No, I know. Let me finish my
Yeah,
sentence.
yeah.
Oh,
there it is.
No, I mean, but like I was getting there anyway. Like, and so it's like that's what I'm saying. Like I've always appeared, or I always seem like cordial, and even to the people who it's like, you know, how do you treat? Like I think working retail for 12 years or whatever, like you kind of learn how to treat strangers in a way that's respectful, which is why everyone should work retail for a little bit. But then it's like if I'm negative towards myself, and if I am not super happy with what I'm doing or where I am in life, that will come out to the people who are closest to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a disappointment in them. It's a disappointment in myself, which is being put onto them, because I'm not going to do it to a stranger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and so it's like my mindset, and I've been pretty resilient. Like I have to be, like, throughout my life, I've had to be resilient. If I wasn't resilient, I wouldn't be anywhere near where I am. So I've had to be just to try to be equal with others. I've had to be more, you know, like, but that doesn't matter. like life isn't looking at like, well, he handled this situation really well, so therefore we're going to allow all these things to happen. Like that's not how life works. Life is, here's a situation, and then here's another situation, and then here's another situation, another situation, another situation. And that's why people say success isn't doing one thing well, but it's doing the little things well over and over and over and over and over again over time. Because you don't get any kudos or any points for doing something good one time. Like it has to become a habit in your life. And so that's kind of what I've been like focusing on, especially in this quarantine time, is like there are so many variables out there that are outside of my control. I took control and I became a coach, and then the gym was taken away. Mm-hmm. You know, like you can do all these things, but you really don't have as much control as you think. And so how are you going to react to those situations? Another thing is like with my job at the church, like I do video. I became super important for a little bit, right? Like without me, church doesn't happen. And I don't mean to be that as like bragging, but just like for a season, this is cool. It will come back to a point where we're doing in-person services. And like, how am I able to adjust and, you know, instead of being like, oh, they don't like it. It's like, no, like, let me adjust in this time. Let me allow my mindset to be there. And so the phrase that like goes through my mind anytime, and like I just got a truck, but even that situation was very frustrating leading up to the truck, especially the car I had before the truck. Like many setbacks and many frustrations up to this seriously God situation truck. But it's like, throughout that entire time, the phrase that's been going through my mind is hard work and patience. Mm-hmm. And it's just like hard work and patience. That's what you need. Work hard, stay working hard, stay diligent, keep driving. Like if it's like a nail and you have a hammer and it's not going in, keep driving, keep hitting, keep going. And eventually, through patience, your hard work will come to fruition. It will pay off if you're Matt Frazier. What are you going to say?
A difference between me and you, there are many. But one is that I feel like I'm very patient, and I'm always yelling at you to be patient, and I can see you working on it, and I think
I'm working.
I
feel
see you
like
working
I'm working
on it.
very hard to try to become more patient and more understanding and more like graceful when things don't go my way.
Yeah, and not snapping at me and your brother.
And I don't want to make this about how bad of a person John is, but the one thing I wanted to say, and because the reason I'm going to say this is because I want to talk about how terrible I am as well. Jean he will snap really fast, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
I am emotionally driven.
yeah, and I'm not trying. Just let me say what I'm gonna say. Like you will snap really fast, and you might even say something that's pretty mean, right? But you are very quick to apologize, one, and like two, kind of get over it, right? Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, like what I was saying, like I think that comes from my emotion is the very first thing that happens.
You'll say no, and then think about it, and a lot of times you'll say yes.
Yeah, like every time I ask him for something, he'll be like, no. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, it might
And
be
he's like,
literally
no,
like,
that's
let's
okay.
go here. No. And then literally 30 seconds later, yeah, we can go there.
Yeah.
Well, it's my emotion comes first, and then I rationalize and I go, oh, actually, yeah, that makes a lot
But
more
I will
sense.
give you a compliment. You are very self-aware. I think that's
Yeah,
why
yeah.
you're able to catch yourself. So
Yeah, so that's the reason I was saying that is so he snaps at someone, he'll say sorry or whatever, and like snap, it's not like it's like super crazy, but whatever
like,
it might
no.
be, something super simple.
I just feel like snap seems so.
John,
like, I'm not. I think I'm fearful because of our growing up. Snap meant something very different to our dad.
okay, yeah, but it's not. Obviously that's
like
not what I mean.
But I feel like that's what goes through my mind.
And he gets mad at me when I say he's yelling at me when he's really not yelling at me. He's like, that's not yelling.
Well,
That's just a side note. Though.
but it is kind of yelling. It's just not screaming. Like you
yeah.
are at a higher. Like it's not like you're like yelling at Sam about like you. Angrily, it'll literally be like, "I want to go here." Or
I want
something.
Chipotle.
Yeah, that's literally what it usually is. Again, like I said, the reason I'm saying this is because I want to talk about myself and talk about all the negative things. So that's why I was bringing it up. But like, so for me, I'm very emotional as well, but I'm not good at getting over things super fast. Like cheesy, but I have a heart tattoo on my arm, right? So a part of that tattoo is that I wear my heart on my sleeve. And it's like, if something bothers me or hurts my feelings, I can't separate this person hurt my feelings, but this person didn't, so I'm going to be nice to them. I'm hurt. I'm going to treat everyone like garbage, And I'm not normally, I don't think I'm mean to people, but it's more, I just shut them down and shut them out. Like I'm not a yeller. Would you guys agree with that? Like I don't really yell or speak loudly or whatever. Like
You
it's
just get really quiet.
Yeah,
So then you have both extremes over here, and it's me in the middle.
No, I wish I did. I wish I was more like John in that aspect, because a lot of times I don't even say one of you guys might hurt my feelings, and you guys don't even know it because I just disappear, right? And you guys are like, oh, you don't even know that I'm in my room, like playing like the TikToks, and they go in the room with the sheet over their head. And I still hear the shadows in my or whatever, like that song. But like that's what I do, and it's frustrating to me because then it might not be hours until I finally come out of my room or whatever get out of my head. And Jean, you need to stop fidgeting, okay?
So do you with that tripod thing you're
No,
holding.
I'm stuck in the middle constantly.
It's true.
Where I should just draw.
Jean's-
That's what I do. I doodle. It'll
Okay,
help.
whatever.
Let me
So
doodle.
no, because then it doesn't feel like you're paying attention to me, and that's rude. But so it'll be like hours until I finally am able to, because I'm able to say sorry. It just takes me a long time, and so Sean was doodling, and then Sam was looking at what Sean was doodling, and then no one was looking at me while I'm being vulnerable.
But we're listening.
Freaking
We're
jerks.
listening.
Gee, this is what I do. See, now I'm gonna shut down. I don't want to talk anymore. No, but that's what I do, and it's like so that's the reason I brought it up was I wasn't like, let's attack John, but I was like, those are the things that you struggle with. It's like sometimes I wish I was more like that, because you make it very, very clear if you're upset about something. Sometimes you kind of do what I do too, but yeah, I don't know. Like I just I didn't want it to seem like I will
say something. You guys just need to be more like me. I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's good that you guys are self-aware. I think self-awareness is so important. I feel like I wasn't self-aware a few years ago, and I started realizing things, and I'll catch myself, kind of like how you guys catch yourself.
Well, what do you mean? What were you not self-aware about?
I don't know. Just like how I reacted to things too.
How did you react?
I still do it sometimes, and I try to catch myself now. But I just like to bottle things in, and then I'll explode on people and be like, "You did this 3 months ago."
Enneagram 2.
Yeah, it's an Enneagram 2 thing. Which
Oh
now
my
that
gosh.
we need to have an Enneagram episode.
I think we already have.
We've
had
talked about
one.
the Enneagram multiple times, but I don't think we had an
A
Enneagram
full episode. But anyway, I will go back to what we were talking previous. Another thing that we have a difference on is I'm always like, this is going to work out. And you're always like, no.
Oh, yeah.
It's not.
We're both like that.
You guys are
yeah.
both like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it all works out, you guys. And even if it doesn't work out how you thought it would, it still works out. And I'm like, see?
Yeah. It's hard for me to look past the current situation that I'm dealing with. Like yesterday, I know it's something so small. Like I'm not exaggerating when like there was a point yesterday where I was unbelievably defeated. Like, and then I'm sitting there telling myself I'm trash, I suck. Like, of course you couldn't figure this out because you're dumb or whatever, right? Like there's these narratives I've told. Like I've had in my head since I was a kid, and I think a lot of it goes back to being in special ed and just feeling like, oh, of course you're in special ed, yada yada, right? And so there was a time where I was legit like freaking out. Like, so I think that
Yesterday?
Yeah, it was bad because you guys know I have anxiety and I struggle. You guys know that, and so I think. So yesterday I was really excited about the prospect of making the live streams better and like doing the Ethernet thing and like figuring all that out. But I was also anxious because I'm not good at any of that stuff. So I was, like I was saying, catastrophizing, being like, this isn't going to work. I'm not going to figure it out. And so legit yesterday, right when I woke up, I was stressed out. Right? Because I ordered stuff from Best Buy and I was like going to be able to pick it up, but I had to wait until 10. So I was literally just waiting. I just want to pick it up. I just want to pick it up and get started, right? And so right when Best Buy opened, I was there. You know, I went to Home Depot, ended up getting the wrong thing at Best Buy. I had to go to another Best Buy. And so that was like, okay, of course, right? Then that happened. But then, like, I'm not trying to recap this whole story, but it got to, like, the middle of the day and nothing was working. Like, I had everything plugged in. I spent hours getting all the cables situated, and then all of a sudden it's not working. And luckily I had a friend, he's actually a subscriber and stuff, his name's Michael, and he was helping me with everything. He's helped me a lot with the live stream stuff already, and he's good with like OBS, which is the software that I was using. And so I was like, I just messaged him, I was like, can you help me right now? And I didn't think he was going to reply, and he replied, and we were able to FaceTime, and he helped me like tremendously with the whole thing. And so I finally, like, but it's just frustrating because like you were saying, I can't see the positive. All I see is like the negative. It's like, oh, of course you did this, you know? And I think that I honestly struggle sometimes and it makes me feel like maybe I'm being fake or something, because people will message me or they'll do a Q&A on Instagram and people are like, how are you always so happy? And I'm just like, I'm not always happy. You know, I don't try and make it seem like I'm always happy. I think it's just a natural thing. Like if I'm feeling down in the dumps and like upset, I don't like some people I've seen this, like some people, they will post about that, you know, like they love talking about when they're sad. I don't want to do that. Like for me, it's not, like it's not that, but I've thought a lot about it. It's like, is it me being fake then? Right? Like, am I being fake because when I'm feeling upset or mad or pissed off or sad or whatever, I don't post.
But you're quick to say, I didn't post because I was feeling upset.
Yeah, and that's just a natural thing, like, because, yeah, it's just how I am. And I've given it a lot of thought, and I don't know, like, because I am slightly envious of the people that might be having a bad day and struggling, and they can still post. You know, it gets to a point, like, when people are posting and they're crying in their pictures, I'm like, okay, that's a little, for me personally, I think it's a little cringy, but, like, if I'm like upset, I wish I could like get on a story and talk through it, right? Because I think it is interesting, like when I watch it.
And it may be helpful to them too.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. But for me, it's the last thing I want to do is have people know that I'm struggling so hard with X, Y, or Z.
And I'm one of the people who are always happy.
Yeah,
so like
when
people are upset, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I don't know what that's like. And I try to put myself in them shoes and like in their shoes and like is it sympathetic or empathetic?
Empathetic, I think.
Empathetic. But I'm like, I don't understand this. But like when people do share, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I like to hear different perspectives about everything, you know? So, but it must be hard, you know, if you're going through that to share in that moment, at least.
I just feel wary of, like, social media is not a replacement for friends and family and trusted advisors and people to talk to and mentors and whatever. Like, it's not. And so I think the wariness for me is like, Like, let's find someone to talk to. Like, let's not dump it on social media, you know? Because you're going to hear people are going to respond who don't know the situation, who don't know you, who don't know the other party, who don't know the triggers, who don't know, and they're going to tell you, no, don't worry about that, or no, you're not like that, or no. And it's like, very much likely, you should worry about that. You are like that. It is a pattern in your life, and let's work on some change.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why, for me, I've never been a big, let me share why I'm sad on social media, because it's like, I don't need you guys to lift me up. I don't need your compliments. I don't like, that's not, and I feel like that's what it becomes, is this kind of like, you know, misery loves company idea of like, I'm miserable, I'm sad. Let me get everyone who agrees with me on this to tell me they agree with me, and then I'll feel better. Which I know isn't true for everyone. I'm not trying to lay that thick brush out, but it's like,
Often.
that's been my hesitation
Yeah.
towards that. Do you agree or disagree?
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think genuinely some people, they just really do enjoy like sharing everything on social media. Like some people really are like that, and I just am not. I just am not like that. And sometimes like I said, like it makes me, I just struggle with like, am I being real? But I think that no matter like how much you struggle to, or you try to be real on social media, real in quotes, it's still never 100% real. And I think that some people, they try to be real so much on social media that they end up being completely fake, right?
Yeah.
Like they're like, oh, I'm just being real, and they talk about these things and blah, 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 whatever. And it's like, they don't even actually care about this thing, but because they're so focused on, I want to be real and like share my opinions on X, Y, Z. And it's like, that's not even really how they are. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
But again, like, when you're on social media, like, the majority of communication is nonverbal. A huge fraction or percentage of communication is nonverbal cues you pick up. Someone, their eyes are red and swelly. Without them saying anything, you've
They're
picked up
high.
on that. Yeah, or whatever. But like, their mouth is lowered or angry. They're kind of hiding in a corner.
They pooped.
Like, there's so
Not again.
much non-verbal communication when it comes to communication between two people.
Yeah.
That is completely lost on social media and typing in comments and stuff like that. So it is good for connecting people. It is good for reconnecting and following up and finding groups and stuff like that. It cannot replace social, real, like in-person social communication. It cannot.
And it is good for sharing and building a community, but you need to know and be wary, like you were saying, that it isn't the one all be all.
Like, there are definitely exceptions out there, but like, people aren't always constantly thinking about how to get you addicted to them. Now, there are unhealthy relationships in which that is the whole point, is to not be able to survive without that person. But the nature of a relationship or the nature of people is not like, let me go to you and be like, let me find a way to make you need to know everything I'm doing. Social media is created for that. Even without you, when you log on intending to become addicted, everything about it is created for that. And so again, it's just like, it's a different level of, it's just a different way you approach it.
Yeah.
That's just, but I'm not saying anything that no one's ever heard before, but I just feel like it's easy to forget.
What is your favorite social media and what's your least favorite social media? I have somewhere I'm going with this.
Favorite social media is interesting. Probably Instagram. Least favorite is Facebook.
Your favorite is Instagram?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's, at least you can, even if it's filtered and stuff, you see pictures and faces and people.
Okay.
Instagram, and it's simple. Facebook is everything. It's like what MySpace became. MySpace was kind of simple and minimal, and they included everything in it, and it became too much.
Mm-hmm.
So,
What about you, Sam?
Favorite is Insta. And I don't know. I would say least favorite is Twitter because I don't know how it works.
yeah, and that's what I think is like. I spent 3 weeks on TikTok during quarantine, and then it was too much.
I don't even think of TikTok when I think of like social media.
You guys,
Yeah,
I love
it
TikTok so much, but I haven't watched it in so long either.
It was too.
We were getting crazy. We had like had tick time, and we would watch it.
And we would just lay in bed and just watch it, and it's just like
So many ticks.
Like
no one calls them ticks.
They call
Makes
ticks.
We call
me
them ticks.
uncomfortable.
Anyone else who calls them ticks, like, let me know.
Yeah, but
Please
like
do not.
and it's just like when that and like we'd be on social media, we'd be together. Me and my wife, the love of my life that I've decided to spend the rest of my life with.
The rest of your
And
life?
we'd be together on our phones with no communication or connection.
Yeah, when we realized we were doing that, we're like, wait a second.
You guys were
like,
doing that last night. I noticed. I thought it was funny.
Oh, we were?
I don't know.
I noticed it when you guys were watching Hamilton, and then it ended, and then you guys sat there for like 30 minutes just looking at your phones. I just
Well, we're
remember thinking
working
it was
on it. We're in
funny.
the process of working on it.
I'm
okay?
definitely in the process of working on it.
I'm not trying to call you out. I just remember seeing it and thinking that's funny.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it. You're on your phone. It's not like it's
screen time.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll be the first. I am on my phone way more than you guys are. Way more. I have no problem admitting that. 100% I am on my
as you
phone way
admit it.
more.
Just kidding.
Yeah, no. So, okay, the reason I asked.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I would say, I think Instagram is probably my favorite. That's the one that I just am most comfortable with. Like, Twitter's pretty fun for me. I think because I don't have many people on there, so I can kind of be stupid and not really worry about it. My least favorite is by far Facebook.
Yeah.
It is so toxic on there now.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
at least for me, because I have these people that I knew from like high school, or I knew from the old church that we used to go to, and all these people that I just don't even know anymore. And they're all like, I swear, all it is politics now. That's it, right?
Well, again, if that's what you have responded to in the past, that's all you'll get. Like, if you, like, it's an echo chamber. Like, Facebook is the most of all. Like, it's an echo chamber. If you've liked or commented or something that had something to do with political things, Facebook's like, oh, they like that. They engage with that. And then you'll get a little bit more of the political. And
Yeah, but
there are people in your Facebook feed who you probably have not seen a post they've made in months, but they're still posting.
Yeah, well, I don't know, because I definitely don't like anything. I literally don't know the last time I liked something on Facebook. But I don't really comment or anything either. I just read stuff.
But the times you have.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably true. So the reason I wanted to tell a story was this guy that I knew from high school. He made this post, and this one wasn't even political, but he was talking about how, so right now, there's a huge thing with TikTok going on that they somehow might shut it down or something, right? I don't know too much about it. I haven't read into it. But he had this post, and this guy is he was in the military. I don't know exactly what branch he was in, but he was in the military, and he might still be in, or he might be out now. But he was talking about how he thinks it's so hilarious that people on TikTok now are jobless, right? Like, people that were making money on TikTok are now going to be jobless and stuff. And he was just being like really, really rude and condescending. And so for me, I am an online content creator, and like, I was, of course I'm thinking, well, if YouTube and all that stuff completely got shut down, I'd be screwed. That wouldn't be cool. And, I left a comment, and we kind of went back and forth and stuff. And it's funny because once we started talking, his position was way less extreme. Like, because I'm not a super extreme person, so I was like, I was kind of rude at the start. I was like, the jealousy or something in this post is like palpable. I said something like that, and then I was like, it's strange to me that you are laughing about someone losing their job, right? And then his response was something along the lines of, basically, they're talentless and they should have been doing something else anyways. And I said, well, I was like, I can understand where you're coming from. The people that are making, millions of dollars that are just posting the videos of them dancing and stuff. Like, I can understand why you wouldn't think it's very much work, but I was like, it's still at the same time, like, one, there's a lot of people that aren't just doing that, right? And two, it's like, just because you don't see it as a viable thing that should make money doesn't mean that it's not. Like it's just strange because you don't hear people say this stuff about like actors or other creators, right? It's just these newer, because like people still feel this way about YouTubers, right? To a lesser extent now because it's been more mainstream for a while now. But and then so like we ended up talking and like, you know, I wasn't trying to like argue with the dude, and we ended up kind of coming on some common ground, and he ended up kind of stepping back from his most like egregious thoughts or whatever. But it was just like, man, Facebook, and I remember after I commented, I was like, why did I even comment on this? I don't really care that much. But it was just, I was bored, and I was like, oh, let's see how this goes. But it's like, man, when I go on Facebook now, for the most part, it's just constant. It's about people arguing about masks. It's people arguing about Black Lives Matter. It's people arguing about COVID-19. And that's like, and then pretty soon it's going to be people arguing about the election, which it already kind of is, but I know for a fact in the coming months it's going to ramp up even more. And it's like sometimes I'm like, man, I wish I didn't know this about this person.
Yeah, I had to, like, in this time, I've turned off all notifications on my phone with the exception of like Sam's diabetes, like following her blood sugar to make sure she doesn't die.
Thank you.
Texts and calls, because even the dumbest phones get those. And
Yeah, you took them all off.
something else, yeah. Like, I've taken them all off, and it's like without any red dots to look at or without any like notifications you're getting. It's like it's nice. Like, it kind of gives you that less of a pull to want to look at it. And I'm still trying to break up with my phone. Like, it's taking a while. But this was like the first step. Is I deleted or organized 5 pages worth of apps into 2. 5 pages. You never need 5 pages of apps. And turned off all the notifications. And it's like really taking like solid steps to be like, this does not need to be. Like, there are so many things I'm missing out on because I'm just zoning out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's funny that you say that. I haven't had notifications on my phone in a very long time. But it's because I get too many, and it would just like, my phone would be dead. What about you,
You don't
Sam?
have any red dots? No notifications?
I have
no.
red dots, but I don't get like a text or like my screen doesn't vibrate if I get like a message on Instagram or anything like that.
When he was deleting all his apps and like condensing, I was like, ooh, I'll do that with you. And then like I got rid of a bunch, but I didn't have 5 pages. But I still have notifications. But I'm trying to be more cognizant of how often I pick up my phone. Because sometimes, you know, you're just like bleep, bleep. Like sometimes you just like look at the time and then you're like, oh, I'm going to look up something. A notification. Then you get sucked in and you're like, oh my gosh, I just wanted to see the time or like read one text message.
Or you forget what you were doing.
Yeah.
Done that.
Yeah.
Oh, what's the weather? And then you're on Instagram.
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, yeah, and that's what's so frustrating. It's like you go like, oh, what's the weather? And then you look at an app and there's a red dot and you go, oh, what's that? You know?
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, you're gone down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
You know what, guys?
What?
So let's just pretend this was a different podcast, okay? Let's just pretend this was Chasing Excellence with Ben Bergeron, okay?
Okay.
And he were to be like, there are 2 things I want to talk about. Hard work and patience. And he would go on his thing, and his co-host would talk, and they'd be like, wow, Ben, you're so smart. And then the podcast would end.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone would be like, wow, I just wish I could be like Ben.
Yeah.
And then you have the Work for Change podcast, where you go, I want to talk about hard work and patience. And you have your wife and your brother on the podcast. You go, no, here's why you don't do this, because you just do this, and you do this, and you do this. And like any other podcast, you'd hear about these amazing things these people are doing, and you'd chastise yourself for not being as disciplined or smart or whatever as these people. Guys, this is real life. You try to just make a point, and you get argued with by your wife and brother.
Hey, man.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? Family affairs.
We can use some compliments.
I know, I appreciate it. But
We're not going to let you front on the...
No, it's good. I'm just saying, guys, this is why our podcast, this is why we're different. Because it's family dynamics happening, but still while pursuing relatively the same thing of health and fitness in every other area of your life, right?
Yeah.
Anything
so
else
I hope everyone crushes their goals this week because I'm a goal girl.
Yeah.
What's your goal this week?
I like to hit 10,000 steps a day, at least on my Fitbit.
Okay.
And during quarantine, I let that go too. I'm like, it's like, I'm not up at work and much, I'm at home, I'm only going on 1 walk a day. No, I'm going to make it a priority. So I'd like to hit my steps. I'd like to focus on my nutrition more, and I want to like write everything down. And I want to work out 5 times this week.
Why do you want to focus on your nutrition more?
Because, I was looking good for the wedding, and then the holidays came, and then my birthday, and then quarantine. I just want to dial it back a little bit.
How are you going to get 10,000 steps?
Because
it's been hot. It's not fun to walk in the middle of the day right now.
So usually,
it's like over 90 degrees here.
Yeah,
every
it's
day
been
right
so hot. Like it was like 97 when we got here.
Yeah.
So we have our cute little dog Bailey. And
Yeah,
she's
we can't
so
take her on walks
cute.
during the middle of the day.
Yeah, so we take her in the morning.
Yeah, so I have a work call at 8:30 and it ends at 9 every day, and so I've been taking her right after, and I've been going on a little bit of a longer walk than I usually do to get those steps in early, and then I'm usually like walking around the house working, but at the end of the day I'm going to see where I'm at and see what kind of walk I can take in the evening. And now that the gym's open and we work out in the morning, it's been helpful to get steps in working out.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was hard too, because when you're just working out in your backyard, you're not like moving that much. But around the gym, I get a couple thousand in before I get home.
What about you, bro?
I'm just trying to revamp my work schedule with everything going crazy. I just kind of accepted that I was going to work all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so for work, for the church, I work Monday through Saturday and then watch church on Sunday. And I'm engaging and talking and watching both services sometimes. And there's not really any days off. I'm not taking any days off. It's like 7 days
and
straight.
you're coaching too.
And coaching, yeah.
How many classes are you coaching now?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Wow.
9 a week?
Up to 9. Well, if it's Saturday's included.
Oh. Which this week, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like coaching a lot, and then also working, pretty much 7 days. So I'm really trying hard to dial in the entire staff to get on page so that I can work Monday through Friday and not have to edit and upload and get everything done by Saturday night. And so it's just more of find a good balance for me so that I could actually enjoy some time off, because getting away is very important.
Yes.
What's the biggest lesson you've learned so far with coaching? Because you've been doing it for a while now.
The biggest lesson I've learned from coaching is that you don't need to have the magic cue. People need to come in, and they need to know that you know their name, or you're willing to learn their name, and that you want them to have a good workout. And so, for each person, that means something different. Like for one person, having a good workout means that you actually tell them to scale instead of trying to do the RX plus weight. Mm-hmm. For another person,
that's John talking to himself.
For another person, it's just like letting them do what they want to do because they just want to come in, and you just be like, all right, you want to do it. It's normally 185 pounds, but you want to do it at 665, whatever. Like you're just gonna come in. This is what you want to do for the day. Like it's just like giving them. Again, we had Jason Ackerman on, but it's like giving them the best hour of their day, and like trying to cater that to what each person needs for that day. And so it's less about having magic cues, while that is important for some people. Like I was able to help someone get their first muscle up with just a little bit of assistance. So in that case, that person just needed some cues that I was able to give. But for the most part, it is just kind of seeing where they're at for the day and then catering that hour to give them the best one that they can have. So they leave and they go, I can't wait to come back. And I hope John's coaching.
That was great, babe.
Thank you.
So back to me really quick. I just want to be a little bit more transparent, okay? I just said like 3 goals. You know what? I got a new notebook, and I love notebooks and planners, and I wrote everything that's important to me. And Jean always yells at me. Okay, he doesn't yell.
Yeah, let's be careful with our words here, guys.
He's like, you should like really focus on like 3 things, and I'm like, oh, I have 10 things that I want to focus on.
Also,
what?
When I told you that, it was at a very, very mellow tone, trying to be encouraging and she said I yelled.
Why are you trying to do that to him?
See what I mean?
Know.
It's like, this is what I have to deal with, guys.
That's not nice. Sometimes he does yell, and you can say he yelled then.
This is when John David butts in and tries to get us mad.
Yeah, I do. It's fun. It's one of my favorite things to do at the house.
But anyway, so
get them mad at each other.
Yeah, in my new notebook that I got, I wrote down everything in my life that's important to me, which was 10 things, and I put on each page like how I'm going to like either work on that goal or like maintain that. But
wait,
then
did you say what I said when you said it was 10 things? I was like, honey, maybe you should try to dial that down even more. Like really focus on just a few things that are really important.
And
to
I
you.
said, no, 10.
Yeah.
What are the 10 things?
well, I don't want to name all 10. I don't have my notebook with me. But like one is like Jean, you know? And I'm like, okay.
Well, you shouldn't lie.
Like I want to make sure that we have time to ourselves each week because we're always jamming our schedule.
You guys do so much stuff, and I'm just like, nah, dog.
But it's really like
It's also important for us to value our relationship because we have someone in the house who keeps on trying to pit us against each other.
You guys shouldn't talk about Bailey like that. She's a wonderful dog.
But like one thing is like friends and family. Like I'm someone who like loves to hang out with my friends and family all the time. But realistically, I can't do that every day. And like for my marriage and my like mental, it's like
For
I
your
need
introverted husband.
Yeah, and I'm an extrovert, and so I just need to like chill back like a little bit. And so I'm like, no, like maybe I'll reach out to this person this week. I've been thinking about them, and just send them a text, like little things like that. So that's why I want to keep all 10 things. But I'm also reading or listening on Audible, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry, recommended by my husband. And I'm only like a couple chapters in, but the author said something that really resonated with me, and he said, "You can't do it all." And I'm like, what? Yes, I can. So I'm trying to like take that to heart. And I know that during quarantine, when we had to slow down, I was like, wow, like I really did need this. And so we already have a busy weekend. It's Sunday, but next weekend we already have a busy weekend. And I was like, well, do you want to hang out with this person on Friday? And I was like, no, let's chill one day and trying to take those as I move forward.
What are your goals?
This week?
Yeah. Don't say live stream.
Nothing. Chilling. I don't know. You guys are better at like planning goals for me. I kind of just, I hate planning. Like, I hate it. Sam loves it so much, and she probably feels like I'm attacking her by saying
I know.
that.
Yeah,
but
I
it's
feel
just how I am. Like, I don't enjoy planning. Like, I just like to do things with like how I'm feeling. And so I don't really, like, as far as like what my goals are for this week, I don't really have anything like set in stone right now.
I need a better answer.
See, but that's the thing is like if I were to give you a better answer right now, I feel like not that it would be a lie, but it would just be me answering because I feel like I had the answer, you know. And so for me, it's like, you know, there's a couple things that I want to make sure I do as far as like work wise. Like get a couple videos out, do a couple live streams. I know Jean said I'm not allowed to say that, but
do you feel like you're missing out on things you could do because you haven't planned to do them? Like there are things that I have done specifically because there were plans made in order for me to get it done.
Like what?
I don't know. I'm just saying like I guess getting a level 1, there were things that needed to happen in order for that to happen.
Well,
you know
yeah,
what
I mean
like,
if there's something like usually for me it's just things hit me and then I go for it. Like with this, I know you get, but like it's the most recent thing is the live streaming stuff. Like I didn't know anything, and then I did a bunch of research, and it happened, and I made it happen. Right? Like now that's happening, and it's the same thing like with the triathlon stuff. Like I didn't really have anything planned, and then I was like, oh, I want to do a triathlon. Let's do it. You know, and then I kind of had to stop for a while because of the quarantine. But then I think the reason I'm like that is because I have ADD, and so it's like planning for me is just not a thing, but things hit me and then I go for it, you know, and I get very focused. Like you guys know how I am. I get like hyper focused on one thing for a while, and it's just how I am. And so I don't know. For a long time, I felt like maybe I need to fix that, but I think that there are positives in that make me get things done. And so I don't know. For me, it's like I've bought planners. I've tried to be a planner. Tried to sit down and write what I want to do out for the week, but it ended up being like I'd sit and write in my planner freaking the same stuff all the time. Eat this time and do that. It was I wasn't planning anything.
Well, I also love to-do lists, and I love crossing off to-do lists. So
yeah, I think I'm just more focusing on like the long term. Like I'm not expecting to fix it or anything like that by any means. Like that's not the goal. But like I just know that there are like some long-term goals that can be accomplished through just some like, all right, let me plan this out, let me work on this, chip away at this, that I just wonder if you feel like you're not doing. But if you don't, then that was where the question came from.
Yeah,
like,
no, there's nothing that like I don't feel like I'm like missing out on anything because I don't plan. I think for a long time I felt like I should feel that way, and like I am missing out on things. But now I mean, as I get older, you know, I'm 27, so it's not like I'm old, but like I've realized that maybe not everyone is a planner. I mean, like, I just don't think that I am, you know? I'm just being honest. I don't know. Like, I don't know if there's anyone else that feels that way or feels like maybe they're missing out because they don't plan, or they have friends of theirs that, because I remember in high school and stuff, like, I'd see people writing things down in journals and all this stuff, and I would just be like, that does not sound fun to me at all. I do not want to do that in the slightest. Mm-hmm. And it's still how I am. Like, I've tried many times to write in a journal and write in planners and all this stuff, and I always end up just not doing it. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like for my personality, it is like I do feel like having at least a whiteboard with something down on it.
You do love your whiteboard.
I do. But again, just difference in methods.
Mm-hmm.
Because whereas I do have the same spur of the moment desires to do things, a lot of times they're very selfish, and Sam has to be like, okay, well, how about your wife? How about your relationship?
Your what?
My wife.
Your wife.
What about my wife?
Scooby-Doo.
And then I'm like,
my wife.
Like, you're right. But, so it's like.
Yeah. So everyone, just do what you gotta do.
I know. I'm just being honest. Like,
Yeah.
I am genuinely. I wonder if there are other people that are like me, because so I've made thousands of YouTube videos. Right. I would say for about 95% of them, most of them, I don't write a single thing down, a single thing, and I just talk about a thing because in my head I've written things down. I have points. Sometimes if it's like a long video that I want to like react to or talk about, I'll make sure I have points that I make sure I hit this thing. But like even that, and that is my job. I just don't. It's just not how I operate, you know. But I know there's other people that make YouTube videos that literally write a script and they pretty much read it word for word.
Yeah.
And like for me, that sounds horrible.
Yeah.
Like I would never want to do that.
It's funny. This is the difference between me and you now. Is you make videos throughout the week. It's not like you plan like which video you're gonna do each day. I have like 3,000 followers on Instagram. Not a lot, and I'm like, I need to make a list of all the posts I want to make.
Yeah, dude. I'm just like,
why? I don't know. I just do.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just interesting. Like I'm sure that most people that make videos would be like, "Are you kidding me? That's how you are." And I'm just like, "That's just how I am." I don't know. Like it's just how I operate. I don't know. I've never been much a person that liked writing things down, and I don't know. It's just not how my brain works. It just really doesn't. I don't know.
And we all balance each other out here at the Work for Change podcast.
Awesome. Well, that was a great therapy session, you guys, for everyone I think involved.
Yeah. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We'll be back next week. And until then,
Peace.
stay frosty.
Stay frosty.